before you go shopping. And we are currently at step 3. It's time to actually have the fun part, or some people might consider the miserable part, depending on what's available and what's not available. And it's actually doing the shopping, picking a home out.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a question like somebody that's a first-time home buyer. I want to live in a certain city for whatever reason, school district. I mean, where do I even start? I know I'm qualified up to, let's say, $250,000. How do you start to decide, or I can't possibly give you every house in Lake in the Hills. Let's say there's 100 for sale to go see. It's just not going to happen. How do you help somebody funnel it down to 3 or 4 or whatever the case is?
I usually like to, it's great when you go out and you just look at 1 or 2. I've had clients that I look at 78. John,
78 houses?
John, yes.
He looked at 78 houses?
Yes.
I would have fired myself as a client. I'll tell you right now.
I love her, though.
There is no way you're going to look at 78 houses.
I love shopping.
Oh,
I love
God,
shopping.
Lord.
I love her.
I haven't seen 78 houses in 22 years of being in the real estate industry. Holy cow.
I've had people that I've, weekends just back to back 40, 50 we've seen. But that's someone that's in a time crunch, someone that just wants to see, they don't really know the area. If you know what you want, I will, start by asking, because if we have 100, we need to narrow it down.
What does that mean, if I know what I want? I want to live in a certain city, that's all I know.
Well, what kind of house do you want? Do you want an open layout? How many bedrooms do you want? Do you want a basement? You must need or have 2 bathrooms? Do you have to have a 2-car garage? Do you want a detached garage?
I need to have a basement. I like to do my things in the basement.
Okay.
Okay, so make sure that's...
And it has to be finished, right? And do you want a walkout basement? Do you want an English basement? What kind of basement do you want?
Okay, so I got you. You scared me. I know. Now I know what I want. So that's how you funnel it down.
I want to know to detail what you want so that I can go out and find it for you. A lot of people are just browsing and they'll send me, oh, look at this property that I found, and then I'll go back and tell them, well, that's not what you originally had told me that you wanted. Now I'm looking into maybe a 2-story home versus a ranch, so I need to know exactly what it is that the client wants, and it's going to meet their needs. Because let's think really realistically, you're going to live how many years in a house? If you're a first-time buyer, most likely you're probably going to be there 5 years or so until you're ready to upgrade and to the next step. So I prefer to always, even if it's a first-time buyer, to always try to take them to a 3-bedroom versus a 2-bedroom, because I always come across people that are there for 2 years and now they're just cramped up with stuff. They have no basement, no storage, and now we have to move, we have to go. Right. And also ultimately, how long do you want to be in a property? What's like the goal for you and your family?
Right. And that's a strategy with buying, right? You want to make sure that you have a conversation with your realtor and you let them know exactly what you want. Recently had a client who was looking for a single family in the city, and they were buying a home, and they had 2 kids, combined households. They just got married and they each had a child. And so they were looking at properties, and they were looking at like all these properties, and I said, why are you wasting your time looking at properties? You're parents. You're going to want to have all the bedrooms on one level, because what parent's going to want to have their child on the 2nd floor, right? So these are things that you have to remember when you're shopping, because it could get overwhelming. And after we saw the ones that she had picked, I said, okay, based on what you've seen and what I've noticed that you gravitated to, we're going to go see 2 more that weren't in your schedule. And out of the 2, they bought 1. Because once you get a sense of what they want, you're wasting a time. You're either browsing or you're shopping, right? There's not that many different floor plans and layouts once you're starting to shop. Once you understand the style of home that you gravitate to, that's the one that you want. And then at that point is moving to the next step, which is pricing and negotiations, right? Right. Going back and touching base with your lender to make sure that they do qualify for that specific property, because there's differences between budgets when it comes to taxes, right? One home may be bigger and it'd be a bigger price, but the taxes are lower.
Well,
so
while we're on step 3 still, let me ask you a question.
What are you talking about? That is part of step 3.
I know.
Okay.
You started talking about going to the next step, which is probably 4. But anyways, what happens if I can't find a house? I mean, how long? What am I expecting here? Am I in for like a long haul? What's the norm?
I normally ask you as my client, now that we are actively looking, what ultimately is your goal? Where do you need to be? When do you need to be by a home? Like time frame wise. Because a lot of times people are looking now that they have a lease until the end of June or something like that.
Or school districts to worry about.
Right, in the school. So then, okay, it's February, so anything that goes under contract now may be closing end of March next month. So, maybe we do have some time, some wiggle room to look a little bit more. But if we're in a time crunch, then yeah, that's when we really have to hit the road running and just, see whatever's available. But, again, it all depends on you and what you want to do. When do you want to be by this property?
And I know it's unfair to ask you a question without having statistics in front of you, but off the top of your head, what do you think seems to be the normal first-time home buyer timeline before they truly find the house? Just as a smell test, what does it feel like? 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, 7 months? Oh, Lord, okay, well, in 2 weeks, call you about you'll be in a house in 2 weeks.
She's good.
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing to do with how long it's going to take you, right? You have to get a pulse on the client.
Yeah.
And if the client has a lease that expires in 2 months, then you have to be more actively searching.
I've had clients with him that they tell me, okay, we're ready, we start shopping, we look, and they already have an idea of what they want. They're very assertive of what they need, and I'll, maybe if I'll get it on a Wednesday, by the weekend I have them under contract.
Right. And one of the key things that you said, Yvonne, and this is the reason why I keep saying don't work with a part-time agent. And I'm not trying to bash anyone. I mean,
no,
kudos to you
not.
if you're able to work overtime. But people are shopping from after their jobs, right? So after 5 o'clock to whenever, that's when they're shopping.
Right.
So if someone has a full-time job, they're not going to be able to facilitate all the research that's involved. Just because we show up to show you a property doesn't mean that there hasn't been any research that's been done on that property prior to. But one of the things that you said is that you actually stayed with that client and worked with them and showed them like 48 to 75 properties. That means that you're committed to what you're doing, and you're not there to move on to the next client. You want to make sure that each client gets the best customer service available, so that they can return as a client in the future, and that's why you're so successful. So kudos to you, and that's kind of the real estate that we promote here. We want to elevate that bar to make sure that when you are shopping and hiring a realtor, you look for these. You have these requirements in mind. It's not too much to ask for someone to have patience.
All that I ask out of someone is for them to be serious, and obviously if they're going to be, I'm going to commit to you 100%. I want you to be committed to me as well. I've been very lucky and very blessed. I always pray to God that all the clients that I do come across are good, and they're going to be a continuing friendship built or a continuing client, for years to come. But everyone that I have worked with, I really like the fact that we built a relationship, and I know that they can count on me for even after they close. And that's what we want. We want to build those relationships. And again, I dislike a lot of agents that I do come across, and they treat a buyer as just another number.
A transaction,
and it's not. We're here to build relationships. We're here to put families in homes. But when you love what you do, it just it just shows.
Again, yeah, the timeline is more about staying in touch with that budget, understanding what your wants are. If you're shopping for family, then boundaries do matter, and align yourself with an expert that understands the school boundaries so they can get you the best deal out there. And more importantly, give your clients the customer service that you expect for yourself. I think that's what creates long-term business.
I'm gonna wrap this bad boy up so we can get to our next segment, and I know I have to take a break for a second. So TMI, right?
I mean, this is not the.
Let's just recap
do
it
tell
real
me
quick.
how you feel today, Nick.
Number 1, find the right agent. Number 2, get pre-approved. Number 3, start the shopping process.
Yes.
It could be easy, could be difficult, depending on what inventory is available. It sounds like.
Right. Or if we're getting outbid left and right, it may take longer than.
It might take. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And we will get back in a minute to number 4 in the home buying process. The 5 things you should look out for and how to get started as a newbie in home ownership. You're listening to Market Overdrive. We'll be back in a couple minutes. You can, of course, download this or watch this on our YouTube channel at Market Overdrive or Facebook Live /Market Overdrive. And last but not least, this is now a podcast with WGN, which we all know stands for We Good Now, or World's Greatest News. And we got Nick.
And we got it.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks.
Oh my God.